welcome to Stellar Style. I'm your host, Lydiane. So today I have a special guest, Howard Kipnis. How are you doing, Howard?
Good, how are you, Lydiane?
I'm doing good. So Howard Kipnis is the founder of Cedar Knoll. It's a construction company that specializes in residential modular homes. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about your business?
Well, I've been building for over 30 years. Okay. Over the last almost dozen years, we've created emphasis on modular homes. And right now, we build almost entirely new modular homes, which can be anywhere from 1,000 or less square foot cottage to well over 3,000 square foot, primarily residential.
I got to see what Howard does hands-on. I went on site to location. I was definitely pretty impressed. I didn't have extensive knowledge in terms of modular homes, but they do absolutely, from an aesthetic standpoint, look, and the whole construction part of the building aspect is exactly like a regular home that you would build. So why don't you go into more detail about the modular home process, how you transport the homes? Okay. Yeah.
Well, to begin with, as you mentioned, the materials we use in a modular home today are identical to a stick-built house. It's wood frame construction, has all the same amenities you would find in a stick-built house, just that they are built in sections in a controlled environment. And one of the benefits of a modular, being in a controlled environment, the wood never gets wet. You do a project, the wood gets wet, it dries, it cracks, things shrink, all right? It's a factory controlled environment, so there's supervisors, and it's like a car going through a factory. So in terms of quality control, you have more quality control. You've got, as I said before, the wood never gets wet. They're built in sections, then transported to the job site. We can typically assemble, or what we call a set, a 4-bedroom colonial in a day, where this house will be weather tight.
It's unbelievable. It really is. I mean, I saw it hands-on. He had the cathedral ceiling and open floor plan. It was definitely impeccably built. And it replicates an exact, house that you would build on location, except you're just transporting it. So it was quite interesting going through the whole process and seeing everything that you do. Now, in terms of, why don't you tell a little bit more in terms of natural disasters? I was curious if his modular homes would, be durable, and they are. Right. They are.
Well, a modular home, as any home, has to meet the current codes.
Yeah.
So we definitely meet the codes. We've done a lot of rebuilding from Sandy along the shorelines, and that has the most stringent codes in the area. They definitely comply with the codes, and they actually exceed the codes, because the way the home is built and the fastening is somewhat different and sturdier than a stick-built house. So, the data is we have to meet the code, but in actuality, we probably do exceed it compared to a conventional stick-built house.
Now, in terms of a modular home, too, it's cost efficient as well.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. You're making concessions on cost. I think you said you save about 15%?
Correct. When you look at the actual cost of construction and the fact that we're going to build the house in half the time of a conventional house. So there are always expenses when you go to take on a construction project, and that includes financing and the cost of financing. Again, rebuilding from Sandy, or if there was some other disaster in your house, you're renting somewhere else, or you're in transition, so we're going to save you time there. So when you factor all these in, we're about a 10 to 15% savings over a conventional stick-built project.
Yeah, it's a pretty it's pretty sizely, and I think anybody would want to make concessions in terms of how much money they can save when a building project, because it all adds up, right?
Sure, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
Now, in terms of your layout, why don't you tell a little bit about the materials that you use, in terms of your kitchen design and your bathroom aesthetic?
We do all the house design in-house at our office in Ronkonkoma. We're right off exit 59 of the expressway. So we'll start with the design. You can bring us a sketch on a napkin. You can bring us a set of plans that maybe you've purchased somewhere, and we'll convert it for what we need for the modular. So we can get the open floor plans, the walk-in closets, cathedral ceilings, all those things that you would do in a regular stick-built house. There really is no difference, and there's very little ways to tell the difference when a home is done. In terms of the finishing amenities, we have certain things available from the factory.
Okay.
And as you saw, we saw some factory bathrooms.
Yes.
But we can also bring in finishing touches, really whatever the client wants on site, to finish it. So whether it's granite countertops or a larger selection of tile because your client maybe has gone to a local supplier or is using someone like yourself as an interior designer. We have clients that have designers that come to us. These are the finishing touches, and we can incorporate them into the house. So really, the array of what you want is as any other residential project.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely amazing. And you also have, you utilize virtual visual software.
Right.
So it makes a visual design tangible for clientele.
Correct. We use, again, because we do the design work in-house, we use a software in-house that we can convert and give you a 3D walkthrough. We can give you renderings as part of what we do, so you can see the visualization before we really get things off the ground.
Which is huge, because most people can't visualize what a house or even in a design, when I do design, they can't visualize the end result. So you're definitely making that tangible by showing them the software and make it conceptualize what it's going to look like at the end. Correct. Now, in terms of your housing style, Howard, you also informed me that you could do various styles, right, from Mediterranean, you could do modern, contemporary, traditional.
Correct.
It's
Absolutely.
really whatever the client wants.
Correct. Again, it's typical construction, so we can do anything that you want. A lot of the finishing of a home really is the on-site detail. So if we're talking some larger pillars or more of a Mediterranean look, we can certainly do that, stone facades. If we're going to go the other extreme and go modern, we can incorporate and do some flat roofs. We can do the more modern look on the outside, which is becoming a little more popular these days, as we've talked about.
Yeah.
So we can do almost anything. It's just a matter of how we piece it together and prepare for the finished work that the client ultimately wants on site.
Okay, so in terms of when you're transporting these modular homes, I was like, when do you send these homes over? But he said you do it at night, right?
Right, correct.
And they travel through Manhattan?
Correct.
And from the moment that they reach location, how long does it take, would you say, to have it up and going?
Sure. Typically what happens is, as you just mentioned, we have to run them at night because they're what we call oversized loads.
Yeah.
All right. So they'll sneak down. They typically get to my job sites on Long Island about 10, 11 o'clock at night, the night before we're going to assemble it. Sometimes they'll roll in a couple of days before. It depends on permits, because that's at the call really of the state and the transportation people. We'll assemble it in about a day, and depending upon what comes from the factory and what we do on site, a typical colonial from the time we put it together will be finished about 3 months after it's put together on site. And that's allowing for the sanitary system and all the other things. One of the things that happens, though, is once we get a building permit, when we're doing your foundation, that's when the factory's building the house. So there's no waste of time. In a typical environment, you're going to put in a foundation and you have to wait weeks for it to dry and then get the site ready and then start with the wood and the hammers and the nails. That's when we're building your house.
Yeah.
So there's a tremendous time savings that when the foundation's ready, here comes 70% of the house.
Exactly. The neighbors must love Howard. That's all I have to say, because you're in a community and neighbors hate when there's construction going on, so you kind of circumvent that whole aspect of it. You come in, you build a house, it's a few days, and
well, that's
for the most part it's done, right?
That's one of the things you picked up on, and it's true, because in a couple of days, we've done 70% of the construction. So the generator's running, the nail gun's banging, the paper's flying around. That's all accomplished in just a couple of days. So it's a lot less intrusive on your neighbors.
Yeah, I'm sure. And they're probably like, Howard, we love you.
Well, and they're surprised, because most people today don't know about modular.
Yeah, no, I
So they go to work and there's these trailers in their front yard and they come home and there's a house.
You're like, what's going on here? Too funny. So we're going to take a commercial break and we'll be right back. And Howard brought some great materials to show us. So when we get back, we'll take a look at everything and we'll learn more about Cedar Knoll Homes.
How do I make my company more relevant in a socially connected world? We want to tell your story. We want to be your megaphone to the masses. We are brand storytellers, and we want to convey your message to the public. People are getting their news from video on the web. Video makes up 73% of consumer internet traffic. Luckily for marketers, consumers are eager to connect with your message via branded video. What they're doing is spending time on social media sites. They're watching Netflix and YouTube. They're watching video. It just makes sense to use social media to promote your company's brand, to tell your story, and to get people excited about your company. The way that you can employ video in your marketing mix to share your story is to make it shareable on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Use social media sites to enhance your visibility online and help drive your search engine effectiveness. But more importantly, to tell your story and keep your company in front of your ever-expanding customer base. We will connect your company with social media, and we will connect you to your customers. We're ready to help you now. Contact us at The Daily Blue, 631-761-9223, or email us at info@bluechipmarketing.net.
Hi, welcome back to Stellar Style. I'm your host, Lydiane, and today I have Cedar Knoll Homes founder, Howard Kipnis. How are you doing, Howard? You're
Good.
back.
How are you? We're back.
Yeah, we're back after the commercial break, and Howard's brought excellent materials for us to show you, so it's a great visual aid. So why don't you show the audience some of the stuff that you utilize in building your homes?
I mean, first off, our homes, as we've talked about, there's really no difference from a stick-built house other than we're faster, we're more economical, and we can do almost anything. What you don't see here represented is all our homes are really classified green. They're Energy Star compliant, they're LEED compliant. That's in the construction, that's in the HVAC systems. We can put solar integrated into the house, we can integrate with geothermal. And then when we get down to the finishing touches, as we talked before, we can do architecturally any style that someone's looking for. But the finishing touches, really, it's what the client wants and what they're looking for.
Their style, aesthetic, and what
Exactly.
they want.
I mean, on the interior, everybody's going solid surface, so whether it's granite,
Quartz.
Corian, quartz, we
marble.
can
Do
do
you
almost
do marble
anything. We can.
also?
They're
Anything
going to
they
go to
want.
the yard.
Okay, and they pick.
You know, if it's your client, they're going to pick what they want and really get what they want. We do the kitchen design work in-house. If someone's working with a designer like yourself, you want to bring us the design, we'll incorporate that into the design. And I mean, just a slight representation of all the many styles we've got available in terms of cabinetry. You know, we can do white, we can do in the cherry woods, we can do in the darker woods. There is some of the lighter woods, which are not as popular today as you know, but they're still there and they're still offered. On the exterior, you know, this is Hardy Plank. It's a James Hardy siding product. It's a great product, especially in a coastal environment. It comes pre-finished. It even actually has a fire rating if it's needed. So this is something that we utilize, okay? As well as a lot of different vinyl products. We recently did a wood exterior on a house, which is very rare in this day and age, but that's what the client wanted. So we can do almost anything.
Yeah, you gotta make them happy.
Exactly, exactly. And then flooring, you know, we're using a lot of engineered products today because they're durable, they are green.
And they're more cost efficient too.
A little more cost efficient, and someone can get all sorts of styles and colors that they want, which would be very difficult to do on site. So we're using a lot of that, you know, today too.
I love that you're Go Green. I feel like people today are more cognizant of, you know, going green. It's a huge craze, big proliferation, and, you know, the Go Green craze.
Our homes, when stacked up against a traditional, are going to perform, you know, more efficiently in terms of heat and cooling. We actually generate almost 15% less waste in the manufacturing of a modular home. So if a person's really concerned about that and wants those LEED certification credits, that's certainly going to help you.
Well, it's a nice feature for your business as well, because I'm sure that sets you apart from other companies that aren't as Go Green cognizant, which is great. All right, wonderful. And is there a certain material that, in terms for the outside siding, that's more popular?
Well, most of the vinyl products, and there are some more thicker, denser, more architecturally correct vinyl that's coming out now. There's some new ones coming out now, replicating the cedar shakes. They're actually individual vinyl shakes. It's
like
a phenomenal,
like
a shingle.
Style. Okay.
Correct. So people want maintenance free.
Yeah.
That's why the vinyl, in many cases, is popular. The Hardy Plank, again, is a maintenance free product. We're using a lot of AZAC or similar type trim for the wide
Okay.
white corners
All right.
and boards, so the homes really are maintenance free on the exterior.
Yeah, now vinyl, is that less costly than an opposing material, or?
There are different steps of vinyl.
Okay.
Some of it is more cost efficient, and some of it can pick up in cost,
Okay.
but also it's a little different product.
Yeah.
So it's not unusual today for a house that could be a very expensive move-up house really to have all vinyl and maintenance-free product on the outside, which is something you didn't see 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, of course. And people don't want to have the upkeep to the house. It
Correct.
minimizes
Right.
that. So that's great. And where's your demographic, Howard? Would you specialize in certain areas, or you would
We're
go
throughout
anywhere?
Nassau and Suffolk County. Actually, right now, it just so happens we've got 4 projects under construction in the Hampton Bays,
Okay, nice.
East Quogue
Yeah.
area, but we've been as far west as Valley Stream and as far east as Orient Point. So anywhere really within Nassau and Suffolk County, we do, as most of what we talked about, new homes. We can also do major renovations. We can do a second floor addition modular, in which case we're going to dramatically minimize the exposure that your current house is going to have to the weather, because we'll take the roof off at the beginning of the week, and normally it's planned out by the end of the week. The new second floor is up and weather tight.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like totally fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing a great thing.
Thank you.
So definitely contact Howard Kipnis at Cedar Knoll Homes if you are interested in purchasing a modular home.
Great.
Yeah.
Thanks,
You want to
Libby.
give your contact information, Howard?
Sure.
Okay, great.
It's Cedar Knolls. Phone number is 631-231-1518. The website is cedarknollshomes.com. And come find us, and we'll be happy to talk about building your new house.
Not only is he great at making modular homes, I saw it hands-on myself, but he is lovely as well. So you'll establish a great relationship with him. So take care, and we'll see you next time on Stellar Style.